Hey folks, Matt from artoftheimage.com. It's got the Fuji X-T10 in my hands here. It's going to go back to Fuji shortly, probably even tomorrow. So time to do a wrap-up. Time to give you my final review on the Fuji X-T10. Overall, I've really liked my time with the X-T10. I've got some notes here so I don't miss anything. Let me pull out my little recipe card with some notes for you. Pros of the camera. Overall, I guess that one of the biggest things I just want to point out is it's a really fun camera to shoot with, and I think that's important. I think you should enjoy shooting with the camera. It's got soul, you know. It's a nice camera and it works very well. The build quality is stellar on here. It's got that Leica-ish kind of feel to it. It's got the old style dials, and I love having the manual controls. The f2.8-4 kit lens on here. Fantastic. If you're going to look at buying the X-T10, spend a little bit extra money and get the f2.8-4 18-55mm kit lens, because its build quality is probably the best of any kit lens I've seen to date, and it delivers in spades. I wouldn't hesitate to use it for anything as far as how sharp it is and what it delivers in image quality. The camera overall, build quality wise, I have no complaints. It's just a really nicely made camera. A lot of metal in here, tight engineering, the fit and finish is very nice. The image quality, if you've shot an X-T1, you've seen images from the X-T1, that's what you're going to get from the X-T10. Just very nice, stellar image quality. Sharp, great image quality. The Fuji colors, really nice, delivers in spades. You've got all the different options with their film simulations from the old days. Just a great image file out of these cameras, and as such, makes these cameras, the X-T10, the X-T1, excellent photographic tools. What else did I want to tell you about here? The ISO, again, excellent high ISO image quality out of here. If you've seen it from the X-T1, you're getting the same thing, if not maybe a tad better, out of the X-T10, so it's fantastic that way. One of the features the X-T10 has that the X-T1 does not have, which I think is a huge bonus, is the pop-up flash. I like a camera to have that. It's very well hidden on here. You almost look at it and say, well, it doesn't have a pop-up flash, but it does. One of the advantages of pop-up flash, I'm not one to normally shoot a pop-up flash head-on, on-camera flash, but I would like to use one of my speed lights on optical slave and just put a bounce card or even my hand in front and control my off-camera lights in an optical slave mode using this. Cuts out a piece you might not, if you want to go ultra light on your kit, you don't need your triggers with you because you can do it using the pop-up flash and an optically slaved off-camera light. So that's a nice option there. I think pro cameras should have a built-in light, a built-in flash. A lot of people say, well, pro cameras, that's not a pro feature. I think it should be there. That said, the X-T10 performs as well as the X-T1 in almost any imaginable area. Image quality, the build is there. Your shooting experience is essentially the same as shooting the X-T1, except it's a little bit lighter and it's a less expensive camera. So to me, that's advantages. Fuji's been fearless in bringing this camera out, because when I'm looking at this X-T10 and be looking at buying X-T1 and trying to decide, it's pretty evident to me, especially in having shot with it for a while, that I would just get the X-T10. It's less money and it does everything I need. I'm looking forward to seeing what the X-T1's update will do, but Nikon and Canon typically strip features as you go down the price range into the lower price cameras. Fuji hasn't done that. If anything, there's more in the X-T10 than the X-T1. Kudos to Fuji for this type of mentality, for giving more, and for listening to feedback from your users, building it into the new cameras. What else we got to tell you about? The best AF from Fuji yet. And you can get that great AF on the X-T1 as well via firmware. In the old days, the beginning of the X series, people would say that one of their main complaints was they were slower focusing. And some of the early ones were. That's gone now on the X-T1 and the X-T10. Great focusing. I don't have any complaints with it. My only caveat to that would be that if you want face detection and the subject tracking, it works and it works well. It's a little slower than some of its competitors. But in general, just normal autofocus that you're using. Very speedy, very fast to acquire, locks on, and is very good autofocus. Best to date from Fuji, and certainly very usable. I wouldn't not buy this camera over autofocus. It's really good. What else do we have? Great viewfinder, very good viewfinder. I think spec-wise, it's down a 10% or something in a number of dots or megapixels, whatnot, in the LCD viewfinder, or the EVF, I should say. But in real world practical shooting, I don't really notice it. I wasn't picking this up and going, "Oh, I wish I had the EV1 or the XT1 viewfinder." The XT10's viewfinder is excellent. I really enjoyed using it. The camera remote app is very good, easy to use, and it works very well. Let me just have a quick run through of a couple of the cons for you. Video. If you're really into video, the X-T10 is probably not for you. I wouldn't use it to do high quality video. It has video, so if you need to do a quick video, it's there, 1080p, 1080-60. So it's decent. I think it has a 36 Mbps encoding rate or something, so it's decent encoding rate. I just never really been satisfied with the video quality. Like my G7 kills it for video, and it also shoots 4K, but it does have video if you need it in a pinch. But I would say that's a weakness of the X-T10. No touchscreen. It's got a great movable screen. I wish it was fully articulated, but it's not. I can live with the way it moves not being articulated, but I wish it was touch, and hopefully Fuji will look at that in an update. Battery life, not the greatest out there. 300 to 400 shots on your battery, depending on how much reviewing and chimping you're doing. So that's where I was getting, somewhere between 300 to 400 shots. It's not abysmal. It's not terrible, but there are better. Just something to point out. It's kind of a minor con. The 16 megapixel sensor. Beautiful sensor, delivers great image quality, but in terms of competition, a lot of the cameras now are at 24 megapixels. The A6000 from Sony is an MILC. The D5500 from Nikon, the T6S and T6i. Now, let me see. Those ones I think are 20 or 22, but still, more megapixels. It's not a deal killer for me because I'm more than happy with 16. I'm happy with the 16 on my G7. But, competitive-wise, it'd be nice to see if Fuji could come out with a 24 megapixel X sensor. Kind of a minor con for me, but just calling a spade, numbers to numbers, it's not with the competition. And let's see, I did mention that the face detect and subject tracking AF modes are not quite as quick as some of the competition. Again, a minor thing for me. Don't use those a lot. Although the face detection tracking is so amazing on my Panasonic G7, I am using it more. It's pretty handy. But those are the minor cons. None of them are enough to not make me recommend the X-T10 to you, because as a photographic tool, if you're primarily wanting it for photography, which is I think what these cameras are aimed at. I think mostly it's photographers that like the X series. I don't think, they're not, you don't hear people severely into video running out and buying Fujis. They're a beautiful camera. The aesthetic on them is beautiful. They're well made, and they do fantastic photographic imagery. So I highly recommend the Fuji X-T10. It's one of my favorite MILC cameras. One of my favorite cameras, period, for photography. I've got a quote here that I just wanted to point out to you. I saw it on DP Review. Fuji makes cameras for people who like cameras or who love cameras, and that's true. Aesthetically, build quality, fit and finish, everything about this is something, it makes you want to own it just because of the camera, not to mention the stellar image quality. So in conclusion, I don't think I'd buy an X-T1 now. If I was looking at the two, I'd buy the X-T10. In fact, I'm pretty sure of that. I'm not sure what reason would push me over the edge to an X-T1, but that's a positive for Fuji. They're fearless in the sense of giving you everything in the lower model, and then they're probably going to stun you again with an X-T1A or whatever's coming out next. Awesome image quality, and I can't say enough about this kit lens, the f2.8-4. I just want to say that again. 18 to 55 f2.8-4, stellar. Spend the extra money if you're looking at the X-T10 and get that lens because it's awesome. So overall, that's my review. Very favorable on the X-T10. If you have any questions, leave them below. I'll see if I can answer them for you. Go try it in the store. Get your hands on it. See what you think. If you're looking at all at the X series, I think you'll be very happy with the X-T10. And kudos to Fuji. Leave comments, questions below. We can have a discussion on it. Thanks for tuning in. We'll be back soon here at artoftheimage.com. Thanks a lot, folks.